You were not meant to be a slave to the grind. You were not meant to trade your life force for money. You can escape gravity. You can unlock your life. You got this. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. This is your host, Jennings Smith. Last September, so about 10, 11 months ago, I got it in my mind, I need to start working on a refinance on one of my properties. I have a bridge note that is already due. It's been extended one time. There is another extension option, but it's at the bank's discretion. This note is maturing April 10th, 2024, and I need to get ahead of it. This loan was with Lima One. If you follow multifamily, you know Lima One is a bridge lender, and I don't know what's going on, but it seems that they're having a little bit of issues. Maybe they've got some bad loans out there, but they haven't been so friendly to work with lately. And so I took on this loan at the time, 2.5 years ago. And after 2 years, there was a 1-year extension option and then another year extension option. So I'm working with them. They're telling me, oh yeah, no problem. We'll extend you for another year. You're 95% occupied. Your rent roll has gone up by 40%. The property's pretty healthy. This is 113 units up in Moline, Illinois. Well, comes down to the wire, and the guy I've been working with this whole time, I guess he gets fired. He's not there anymore. And the new boss says, well, I don't know about this. We're going to have to review this. There's an investor that's backing your loan. He needs to approve it. And all of a sudden, about 30 days before my note is maturing, this extension that was guaranteed is not so guaranteed anymore. And so I'm looking at, wow, am I about to get a $3.6 million loan called? Am I going to have to scramble and figure something out? That's going to be expensive, and this is not going to be fun. What am I going to do? So they got the investor on board to extend for another year pending a full appraisal. So I have to pay for a full appraisal. They appraise the deal. It comes back. The valuation is fine. And they end up extending me for another year. So as I'm going through this, I'm like, man, I really don't want to go through that again because I've got it for sale, but I really haven't been getting any offers. And we've been working our plan to get the NOI up. And so I'm thinking, let me just refinance this with a local bank. Let me refinance this because I don't want to do agency debt because I'm going to sell it fairly soon and I don't want to have a bunch of prepayment penalties. So let me just go to a local bank. And so I go to a local bank. The first one tells me, no, you guys are out of state. We don't like it. Second one says, yeah, we'd be very interested in doing this. Let's proceed. And this is in September, right? So I think I'm way ahead of the game. And so they're like, okay, send me your financials, send me your T12s, send me your K1s, send me your tax returns, on and on and on and on. And dude, it starts taking forever. September goes into October, November, December. At December, I still don't have like a term sheet. I mean, they still want to do the deal, but they're giving me all these reasons why they're busy and they'll get to it and the committee meetings. And this has got to go through 2 layers of committee meetings because of the size of the loan. And I'm just thinking, man, I'm really, really, really nervous and really, really, really stressed out. And that's what this podcast is about. And if you stick around, I'm going to tell you what ended up happening and how it all shook out. But before I get into that, I want to talk about what do you do? What do I do? What are some tactics, techniques, and strategies when you're feeling this way? Right? We all feel stressed out. We all feel overwhelmed. We all feel emotional. And we get in those states, it's really hard to make logical decisions, to see what the next step is, to see what the next action item is, so that we don't bury our head in the sand. And then the worst case scenario actually comes to pass because we didn't act quick enough and we didn't do the things that we should have done while there was still time, and now it's too late. So if you're listening to this and you have ever felt this way, let's talk about that and some of the strategies that I've used to overcome some of this stress and to get through some very, very difficult things. So, one, going for a walk or a workout, physical activity. This is something that I never did. I never did it for years and years and years. One, because I was working construction. But then after I moved into the more management role and into real estate, I was very sedentary. And about 3.5 years ago, I started to regularly work out 3 times a week. Then I added on top of that, going for a 30-minute, 40-minute walk in the mornings or whenever I could get it in on a sales call, whatever. And getting outside, doing physical exercise. I play pickleball now, which is kind of a workout outlet for me. But that lowers those cortisol levels in your brain. That helps to mitigate and understand the stress. You know that kind of good feeling you get after you work out? Like, all right, I accomplished something. I pushed myself. It was painful. Now it's not painful because I'm not doing it anymore. And I feel better, right? I'm releasing those endorphins. That's a really easy, natural way to do that. Another thing I do is I pray. When I go for these walks in the morning, I leave my phone at home, right? Because as soon as that thing starts buzzing or ringing or dinging or emailing, like, boom, I'm taken out of my thoughts and prayers and meditation, whatever, and I'm back into the grind of whoever's emailing me or texting me. I'm living at their dictation, not my own. But prayer is something that is incredibly important to me, where I'm laying out my problems to God. I'm saying, Lord, I know you're the creator of the universe. I know you own all these real estate apartment complexes and all the world, all resources, and anything can be done at your will, at your whim. Lord, help me here. Show me the way. Guide me. Give me wisdom. And I don't know your spiritual background or religious background. For me, I'm a Christian, and so I want to talk to God and ask the infinite source of wisdom to give me wisdom, to reveal to me the next step. What decision should I make? Should I say yes to this? Should I say no to that? Should I partner with this? Should I pursue this opportunity? Should I sell this property? Should I refinance this property? Should I fire this management company? Should I take the management in-house? All these things and all these decisions that we're faced with, God wants to help us with that. God wants to reveal his wisdom, and he promises those that seek me will find me. Anyone that lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all men liberally. And he doesn't condemn us for asking for wisdom. It says that right in Proverbs. So that's something that I'm definitely doing. Another thing I do is I write down what is going on in my head so that I can refute that with the truth. Sometimes when you write down the things that are flowing through your head, all the imaginary horribles of what could go wrong and all the different scenarios, your brain starts to sort of trick you, and it can make things seem a lot worse than they actually are, right? So I'll write down those fleeting thoughts that are coming through my head, like I'm going to go bankrupt. The Lima One's going to foreclose on me. I'm going to lose everything. They're going to foreclose on me, and then they're going to call all my other loans, and I'm going to be ruined. And all this craziness snowball starts to go through your mind. And I just write those things down. All the things that I'm afraid of, all the things that are going through my head. So that it gives me an opportunity to look at each one line by line and say, that's crazy. Or, yes, that could happen, but this, and this would have to happen before that happens. And so we're not going to get there, right? Or I can see, yeah, this is something that I'm afraid of. Like, let's just take, for example, the Lima One loan. It matures April 10th, 2024, and let's say this new bank doesn't refinance me. Well, I maybe could get an extension from Lima One. Maybe they would give me another year. Maybe they would jack up my rate, but I'd still have something. I could go out and get another hard money loan, right? I could put the property up for sale at a cheap price and sell the property to pay off the mortgage. And, maybe I would lose some investor money, but I could recoup that in other deals and I could make that up in the future, right? There's so many options that I have before this freaking nuclear, like you're going to lose everything type option comes into play. And that's why I write these things down to see, like, what is the truth? Am I taking this scenario too far? And yes, I need to take action on it, but let's get a grip. And it moves into my next point. I'm writing down ideas to overcome the problem. I just do a brain dump. Like, you ever had a brainstorming session, your teacher's like, there's no bad ideas. It's sort of like that, where I'm just writing down like, okay, I could do this. I could sell it quick. I could refinance it. I could get an extension. I could go for agency debt. I could raise the capital to pay off the loan and then refinance, and that would give me more time. I mean, there's a whole lot of other options that come into play, and you're just writing down ideas so that you can clearly see, okay, this is the course of action that I should take. And then the last piece, I'm going to dig into this a little bit because I feel like it's so powerful and it's so important. I use the CTEAR method, CTEAR, circumstances, thoughts, emotions, actions, results, CTEAR. So starting with, what are my circumstances? Well, the circumstance is the loan is due April 10th, but it could be extended, it could not, but that's the circumstance, that there is a loan due date of April 10th, right? It's not good, it's not bad, it's just the facts. It is what it is, right? Circumstance. Now we go to my thoughts, right? My thoughts, I've kind of shared about that. All this crazy, weird scenarios that could happen, horrible, imaginary, I'm going to go bankrupt, I'm going to be homeless, I'm going to lose everything, I'm going to lose my reputation, blah, 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 right? Those are my thoughts. What kind of emotions are those thoughts generating? Well, they're generating fear, uncertainty, can't sleep, not at peace. I feel like a loser. I feel like a fraud. I feel like a fake. All these sort of emotions, right, are bubbling up, right? And those emotions, you can't really control them. You feel how you feel. We cannot change an emotion. Emotion is neither good nor bad. It just is. It just happens. It occurs. But what emotions do is they generate action or lack of action. You cannot take action without an emotion driving that. If you think about, why do you go to work? Well, because I want to make money. Yeah, but why do you want to make money? Well, because I need to provide for my family and pay my mortgage. Well, why do you need to do that? Well, because I don't want to feel like a loser. I don't want to feel like a fraud. I don't want to not provide for my family. I don't want all these other horrible, bad things. And that's really what's driving that action, is those emotions. And so when you recognize that, it's very important. Okay, so emotions drive action. And then action drives results. That's the only thing that drives results. And you can put anything you want in that result line, anything that you want to achieve or accomplish or whatever, and you can achieve it by working this model backwards. So the result that I want is I want to refinance my lien or sell my lien or get this loan off my plate, right? That's the result I want. So how do I get to that result? Because if I'm crippled with fear and anxiety and stressed out and worried, that's going to make me want to just ignore the problem or focus on other things or not think about it or zone out on Instagram or watch TV or cry boo-hoo about all my issues, how unfair Lima One is to me and why did the Fed have to raise the rates and on and on and on and on. But that's going to get me the result of getting that loan called, going into foreclosure and having a real big headache on my hands. Okay, so where do I go? If I don't want that result, I've got to work my way backwards. So going back up to what can I change? Well, I can change my actions. Nah, not really. You can't change your actions without changing your emotions. And I already said you can't change your emotions. So what does that back up to? It backs up to your thoughts. Those are the things that you can change. You can choose to think a new thought. You can choose to think a new thought which will generate a new emotion. So in this instance, started thinking a new thought, right? Started thinking about, well, what if I did this? What if I refinanced? What if I, got another extension from Lima One? What if I put this thing on the market and sold it for a really good price that it would move quickly at? What would that scenario look like? And starting to change those thoughts, which are generating emotions of hope. Okay, we're going to get through this. We're going to figure this out. You know what? Let me talk to the lender again. Let me make sure that I've got an option with Lima One. And that was one of the things I did. I said, if I can't refinance this, will you give me another year? And they said, yes, we would. And then they sold the loan. They sold the loan off to another third party like 2 months before it was due. And so then I go to them. Will you refinance me will you give me an extension if I can't get this? Well, we don't know. We'll just see. Go ahead and try to refinance it. But, it's not out of the question. They didn't really give me anything concrete, but there was hope there, right? And so as I generated these new emotions, I started to take the actions. Okay, what is hurting my refinance abilities? Well, I got to get my rent roll up. I got to get my expenses down. You know what? Let me talk to my management company. Let me lower my management fees. Okay, they're charging a tenant management fee of $13.50 per tenant per month. Let me recoup some of that. Let me renegotiate with them. Let me show them the situation I'm in and getting through this refinance. And you know what? They worked with me. And we increased the income and we lowered the expenses and we juiced up the NOI and we got the debt surge coverage ratio, way above what we needed to. So those are the kind of actions that I started to take of like, how can I improve this property? How can I make this thing just undeniable? Because whether I have to sell it or whether I refinance it, I want this thing to be in phenomenal shape. You know what? What is it worth? I don't know. I have these emotions about what I think it's worth, but let me talk to a broker. Let me talk to another broker. Let me get brokers' opinions of value. Okay, they think it'll move at this price. They think at a fire sale it'll move at this price. Okay, this is giving me options. This is giving me information. And taking those actions is further reinforcing good emotions, which is further reinforcing more good action and getting me to the results. So end of the story, we get down to April 8th. And the bank, the local bank that I'd started this refinance process with way back in September, comes through. We close the refinance. They give us more than enough money to pay off Lima One and a couple $100,000 extra for reserves and escrows. By this point, because I focused so hard on the product, the apartment complex, our NOI is higher than it's ever been. Our income is higher than it's ever been. Our occupancy is 98%. Like, everything is going extremely well. And so this pressure, right, this catalyst, this crucible that I walked through, because I was able to respond to it in the correct way, it turned out a result that was far better than if I hadn't even had that stress or pressure on me. So guys, I hope this was a cool story for you to hear the inward struggles of something that I went through, the last half of 2023 and into 2024. It's something that I wanted to share with you about how am I managing stress? How am I managing pressures? Yes, working out, going outside, getting rest, but really the biggest thing that's going to alleviate some of this stuff is taking action. And it's really hard to taking action when you don't have those proper emotions generating it. And the only way to change that is to change your thoughts. Do a thought audit, write out your ideas, let the creativity flow, talk to other people, talk to colleagues, talk to business partners, friends and families, get a plan in place. Then you can generate an emotion that's going to help you take action so you can get that result that you want and unlock your life. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Peace.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.